Yo, man, thank y'all for coming to listen to the What the Hook podcast, man. I'm your host, Keenan Baker. We got
Blake Awisa.
Huck
Yes, I'm here.
out here with his shitty intro attempt. And we got a few lovely guests, man.
Yes.
Introduce yourself, young lady.
Hello, my name is Wonder Edom.
Wonder.
Wonder as in the, like Wayne Wonder.
Yeah, like the adjective.
I didn't know it was an
verb.
adjective. I was just like, ooh. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Is it a verb?
You can wonder, yeah, in your head.
Like you
thinking,
can wonder.
Wander. Yeah.
She has the blue and red on, like Wonder Lady.
Wonder
Oh,
Woman.
like Wonder Woman?
Wonder Woman.
Wow,
Wonder
not
Lady.
Wonder Lady.
Uh-oh. Hey, it's 2018, boy.
Wow.
Better watch yourself.
It's
They gonna come
2008.
get you.
It's 2018, boy. And we also have in the back, Miss.
Miko Cicero, you already know him.
All right.
You're a
And
hater, B.
and for today's topic, we're gonna talk about something that's very touching. No, it's actually not. What am I talking about? We're gonna talk about Africans and African Americans, how we can build each other up through similarities, and also what the immigration population with fresh eyes in this institutionalized racism society can try to do to help other black people, whether it's succeed, whether it's like monetary, spiritually, emotionally. Yeah. I just tanked towards the end. I just tanked.
I think
It's
it was
okay.
too many words.
Just fall down.
Yeah,
Yeah,
damn.
he
Yeah,
was-
that was the longest
Oh, it was one of
like
Bro.
setup for like what we're trying to do.
So I guess maybe okay. So we'll start it. So we have so in the group we have three foreigners. So I'm from Congo, this is in Central Africa. Wonder,
I'm from Nigeria.
and then Miko.
I'm Haitian, B.
Hey, all right, okay, all right.
I'm from
Right.
India.
And Huck and Keenan, you guys are from.
Here.
Oh, wow.
Planet called Earth.
No, I don't I don't I never did my ancestry DNA. Nigga. I don't-
Not yet. Keenan, you're from Congo. You've known me for 20 years in
I'm
Congo.
10% Congolese, I just found out.
Get out of here.
Yeah, from 23andMe.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Wow.
On my mom's side.
That's why we get along. Okay, good. Uh-huh.
I've known B my whole life.
So
it's
Keenan's
fam-
Congolese.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what we doing out here.
Honorary.
Right,
I
right.
guess I'm the only person that's from.
No,
the
you've
United
known me for
States.
like how long we know each other? Like what, like a year? So you 1/10 Congolese, right?
Oh, okay, I'll take it.
I think you can be whatever you want to be.
Yeah, I can.
All right.
Aw.
So I guess I don't know, being a first generation, like I guess African, I guess I'm very fortunate to know like a little history, have like a culture from our like original people and stuff like that. It's still even though tainted, but I guess it to have culture or whatnot. I feel like one way we can help our African Americans is understand like there's certain things that are like we still, even though we're 400 years apart and 1C apart, 400 years apart through 1C, one of the similarities we do have and we do see, it's kind of like how family's important. Even what was I gonna say?
Food, maybe?
Food, and even also like dance, music. You can always see those same like type of similarities. Like, I mean, I love music. I mean, I love rap music, but I don't know how it is in Haiti or in Nigeria, but I know in Congo we have a form of rap, but it's more so done by like the elders. So but there's like a different kind of form where like spitting and rapping, and that's always been in like black culture since like Egypt, right? Until now. So I think like it's important for like Africans in Africa, Africans in America, Africans in the islands, Africans in South America like Brazil to like do our history and still see like our skin tone is always going to connect us. That melanin is always going to connect us. Like if we take us five and we put us in like Australia, we're all going to look at each other in the room and be like, okay, we're the same. You know what I mean? So we have to like know our history to understand like we still have similarities. Like we're still kind of the same people, even though like because of like colonization, we might be in different places.
But you know what? I feel like the problem with that is when it comes to us all having a conversation about it, everyone tries to separate each other at the same time. So, like, you guys are African. You guys actually know that. You could depict where from Africa you are actually from. And then it's like, if you're African American and you don't know where you're actually from, it's like, oh, you're less than. You know what I mean? So it's like the segregation within that starts to happen.
Through
So
whose eyes?
growing up here and growing up as what people consider an African American. Now I'm not like I don't know where my ancestors are from, like exactly what tribes and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
Like you got a sense where like a lot of times when we met Africans growing up, there was definitely an elitist personality with a lot of them saying that feeling like they were better than us. Because my thing is when it comes to like Africans and African Americans, and it's like I think Black Panther did a kind of a good job with this. I know people be like, well, just a movie. It's like, nah, it's a lot of layers to different things with like Killmonger and T'Challa and how people grew up. It's like I didn't know a lot of history about about African stuff like that at all growing up. And it's like I feel like if you have African friends, African people, do you feel like I felt like, man, like I wish I would have got more information at times because I didn't learn a lot of stuff. There was no books, nothing like that.
Right. Right.
So it's like I've known B for a long time. And sometimes I'll be learning stuff now. I'll be saying stuff. People like, yeah. I'm like, nigga, you knew this? Like, I read the book when I was like 12. Like, what? I was 29. I read this book. Why you didn't get this to me at 12?
Right. It's interesting, Kenny, you said, and Wonder, I'll let you chime in. Like,
Yeah.
Even in Africa, it's funny because we look at like black Americans. When Africans come here, some come with this elitist attitude because, of course, when they are told by the government that like black people are like they're pretty much evil, they steal, they don't want to work hard. Yeah. And you have those depictions on the media, so when we see them, all they do is just sell drugs. Like you don't want to work hard. You know what I'm saying? But they don't even know the history of what the traumatization that Black Americans had to go through in America. Yeah. Not even that, but not even knowing the trauma they went through in Africa. Because, okay, Wonder, you're Nigerian. I'm from the Congo. That's a white man thing when they divided up the nation. I'm Bakongo. That's my ethnicity. Like, what is your tribe?
Ibibio.
Right. That's who she is. So I'm not like Nigerian. What is that?
Well, I just want to say something on the trauma part, and also just like this elitist thing that people say Africans have.
Here they go.
I think it's just this ethnocentrism issue that we have, period. And that's just like in Nigeria, like the tribes, like it's like it sounds like, okay, it's just a Black African, whatever. But in Nigeria, we have ethnocentrism. Like the different tribes try and battle each other. Like this tribe is better than that tribe, and that tribe are only slaves, and that tribe are only house help, and this tribe, they're the ones who care about money. So like every tribe has their own side of stereotype that goes along with it. Right. So I feel like that just carries into all parts of people, period. Like we're always going to find ways to separate ourselves. That's just like psychology. And so when it comes to like, okay, now we have to learn about the history to try and bring ourselves together, you have to let go of that feeling that we're the best, because if you always feel like you're the best thing, then you don't give somebody else a chance to be their best self, or you get to appreciate them because it's just always all about you. And that doesn't matter where you're from. Like you could be Indian, you could be Asian, but if you only care about your culture and your country, how are you ever gonna learn about somebody else? That's just the way I see it.
You see her preaching right now.
I hear it. I don't see it.
Justin Jules
using
real.
some big words.
Yeah,
right. Over my head.
But I think like Keenan, to add on to your like you didn't know that stuff growing up. I think some of the problems or issues is like we don't have a school system. Like that's for us. Like
very true.
I'm very fortunate. Like my older sister. Like my first movie I ever saw was Roots. I didn't see no cartoon, so I've been like, Black history my whole life. Like that's something like we like should create like a center. Wonder, we talked about this. Like
you have to go out of your way to look for the history.
Right. You got to go deep. They try to hide it like a motherfucker from you, and they want you to dig deep.
Right. So I think that's important. Where like we try to have like Black kids should know like, hey, there's 52 nations in Africa, 47 are inland. What's the capital of Kenya? What's the capital of Haiti? What's the capital of Brazil? Well, what's the percentage of Africans in Cuba? Like you should know that rather than like. And
you're talking about African Americans.
No, both, because Africans don't even know that.
Yeah,
because you
definitely.
can even there's Africans like I'm from Congo where I would say I'll go to a family event and be like, oh, where'd you grow up? Oh, I'm from Belgium. Like what? You're from the Congo. You're not from Belgium. So even we only think of self-hate like in Black America.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's especially the Wonder, the lightning stuff and all of this stuff. Like we have to kind of like be like better as a whole to like.
Well, I think that's the thing. As Black people here, we didn't know that. We don't know y'all fight, back on the motherland and where y'all at. We don't even know our own shit.
Yeah.
We trying to figure out stuff here, so we definitely don't know y'all stuff.
I just want to say that as much as the racial issues in the U.S. are pretty shitty. Oh, I cussed. Back in places where colonization happened, we're still trying to deal with that too. So, like, for example, poverty and like GDP, which is like the difference between wealth and poverty, is really, really high in third world countries, and most of third world countries are in Africa. So as much as you guys have your own issues, we have our own issues in Nigeria too, and that's why people just leave. Like there's so many Nigerians here because they're just over it. Like corruption will not let you live a life that you want to live, like having good food to eat, having clothes on your back, like having a 99-cent store is a big deal over here, because over there you'll pay $20 for a t-shirt here and they'll charge you like $120 for the same Hanes that you can get at Walmart at their mall, so it's like, how do you afford clothes over there when they're just totally jacking up the prices?
That's crazy.
I would just be out there butt naked. Just
right. And there's people out there.
Dude, they're like, yo, fuck it.
Yeah.
Fuck the clothes.
For some Hanes.
Right. So you wear the same clothes, you hand wash, you make sandals out of tires. Like, you have to be like really good.
That sounds really funny.
It is. I know. Yeah, it's real though.
No, you're right. Like, I don't know, like I've heard stories of like just like trying to get food, like there are even like lights, like there's no lights like in the village, so they have to get like a generator, and like there'll be like 10 people around one light just trying to do like homework and stuff like that. There's a lot of and
lamps, like you have oil lamps to do your homework with, like all the pencils are wooden. So don't try and get a mechanical pencil. I mean, unless you want to pay extra for it.
Right. And then even to go to school, hopefully your family has money because you pay for school. You know what I mean? So, like, when you bring it interesting, like, there's a lot of problems here, but there's still problems back home.
Right.
Like, tons.
Okay. So, what was the reasoning for y'all parents for making the move to come out here?
Well, I don't know. Miko, you want to talk about you? Because
you know what's so funny? I really don't know the story behind my mom or my parents wanting to come out here. I just know that my mom made it a thing that she wanted to be in America. I guess she wanted to, like, build her family out here. I feel like when you're in the islands, the goal is to always come to America to build your family, or for some reason. So that was her thing. She brought my dad out here, and that was the end of her story when it comes to like really being out here. As far as like why, like what was the root, what was the goal, I have no idea. But she's a nurse, so I know she wanted to be in the medical business. So she probably felt like it would be better to do it out here in America rather than do it out in Haiti.
Yeah. I know for my family, my dad was really poor. Like, he was part of a polygamous family. So we were the last generation that stopped polygamy. And he had like 40 siblings, one dad, hella stepmoms, hella step siblings. And so when he was the first one out of his generation to make it out of poverty, so when he left, he was like, I'm not turning back. So he left for, poverty to build a life. And so he started working in healthcare management. And then my mom came with him because that was her boo. So so she came to build. But
That's so funny.
Yeah, so that was like their main reason. My dad did want to try and build up Nigeria again, but then he got sick and passed away. And so it's just my mom and us now. But she always talks about it. Like, she doesn't want to go back because she just doesn't like the corruption back there. And so she even talks about, like, when she came here, having to learn the black issues in the United States because she was unaware of that.
Right.
And so, like, at her work, she noticed people were treating her differently because she was Nigerian and because she was, she was black too. And so she was, like, telling me how she had to kind of make a coalition with her black coworkers because she noticed, something is different. Like, even though I'm a woman, like, I have my own issues back in Nigeria, but as a black woman here, like, there's other layers to that. And so she would talk to me about that too, and how we have to kind of be on the same page and not separate ourselves from Americans.
That's interesting.
Okay, yeah.
So my dad came here first, and my dad came in the 70s, like after Congo gained his independence. So they were sending giving a lot of visas to Africans to come to the States to get an education, to hopefully go back and improve their countries after they gained independence. So when my dad came out here with my uncles, it's kind of like the same thing. Mom, he's like, I got to bring my boo out here. So he brought my mom out here or whatever. But then same thing with Wonder. My dad passed away. But my mom wanted to come because there was like no opportunity. She was like, she couldn't wait to come out here. It's weird because my mom grew up under a dictatorship and she was an engineer. Right. But there was like no jobs, like there was no opportunity, no nothing. She was like, I didn't even want to become an engineer or whatever. But when she came out, my dad's light skin. So that's another thing with the colorism, which was an issue back home. But when he came here, he saw that he was getting a lot of benefits from being light skinned or whatever, which was very weird. But when my mom came out here, even her just even being a woman, like you were saying, Wonder, about your mom, like she saw how she was getting treated differently here that she didn't have to deal with back home. Like being tall and dark skinned, my mom was like, this is not an issue back home, but here there would be a problem. Then she had an accent. You know what I mean? Like, so people always question her. They'd be like, oh, you don't know how to speak English. And it sucks because some of the worst insults came from like my cousin's wife that was like American, but they were ignorant. They were on some like, oh, they too dark. They darker than a paper bag or whatever. So don't talk to them. Like, oh wow, Melanie, you can't really speak English. Like, are you like you're dumb? And she's like, no, I'm from a different culture. You know what I mean?
Why does an accent equate to dumb?
I mean, that's
right.
That's how it is here. That's how it is here in general. Like you hear people from the South, and they're very intelligent. They can go to an Ivy League school, but when you hear them speak, you be like, he sound like a country bumpkin. He sound like a country bump. Like that's just like It's a weird.
But when you hear a white person from the South, it's cute.
Now sometimes you hear from them too. They sound ignorant and stupid.
Huckleberry fan.
All right, listen. I ain't talking about the trailer. I ain't talking about the trailers. I'm talking about the other ones. Right next.
You know what's funny? Hearing you say like y'all didn't want to go back, or your parents didn't want to go back, but it's funny how the blacks here, like, we want to go to Africa. We want to experience. We want to go back to the motherland. Y'all like, nigga, we good.
There ain't no other time we wanted to go to the motherland than when Trump try to come in office.
I mean, when Winston Sear from Belly said it too.
So you want to go back? Are both of you curious about going back?
I'm definitely curious about. I definitely want to
visit. You can visit. You don't have to live.
I feel like as a African American or black in general, I feel like it's really great if you can make it happen one time in your life to go back to the motherland.
Yeah, even more than once.
Everybody that I've
even
heard,
more, but like
a minimum.
I mean, minimum.
Everybody that I heard that was from here that went back to Africa, they always said they came back so enlightened. Right. They felt everything. They felt like everything changed about them. Like it just had a whole different like outlook on just life and being black. I used to work with this dude named I'll keep his name out of it, but I used to work with this dude at my job, and he was he's from Kenya, and me and him always talked about like he's like Keenan, he's like he just bought a house back home. He's like, I think you need to invest in some property like in Africa and some places. He's like, I'm telling you, man, it's like, one, it's a little cheaper, but he's like, these are nice places. He showed me his places, it's beautiful.
All right.
And he was like, I was like, I don't know enough about certain places where I even want to buy property or want to live. And he was like, the Ivory Coast is beautiful. The Ivory Coast is like living like in California type when it comes to weather and stuff like that. He's like, it's beautiful.
I will add on to that, Keenan, like the past 20 years for Africa has been
explosive.
It's explosive. And one of the reasons being is like, okay, so when my parents came, and maybe when your parents came, they are the first generation
of independence.
Yeah, that dealt with the last stand of colonization. Where with us that are here in America, we've adapted American swag, hip hop.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So you see somebody like Jadena that's like, no, I'm Nigerian. Where our parents would never say that. Like out loud in America? Like what? I remember my mom used to say, I'm from the Central Africa. But us, no, we're from Congo. That pride that we get from hip hop, because hip hop will be like, no, I'm from Harlem. I'm from Compton. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? This is where I'm from. And we're like, well, yeah. And then also too, like, we see that look how black people are treated here. You know what I mean? So it's like, I know for certain family members where they're going back home, they're building back home, they're building in capital city, like your friend in Kenya or whatever. He's like, man, I can go back home. I mean, it's not the best, but it's like, it's a little bit better. I don't worry about the police. People treat me nice or whatever. You know what I mean? And there's some opportunity there.
Yeah.
And then we'll also, hand in hand with China coming in, but that's a whole nother topic or whatever, right? But you know what I mean? It's like, there's a new sense of pride, like of Black African pride that's happening right now in the air, that's happening everywhere.
Yeah, because I mean, before growing up, like, like African Booty Scratcher was like one of the biggest.
Okay, I want to know who came up with that. Cause
I've had cousins that were.
Everybody was saying
that.
That
was like a huge insult. That was a huge insult. But it's
I had no word for you guys. Like, I had no word.
But it was like, do you think, because like the beef between, let's just say, I guess, African Americans here and then Africans, right? Do you think the beef is ignorance on both ends? Like, like
Absolutely.
we don't know our history, so we were saying a lot of, especially us growing up when we were younger.
I mean,
we didn't know a lot of shit, so we would clown and be like, look at these, they can't speak English, so they whatever, they dumb or they whatever like this.
Ashy feet.
And then
I can say something on that topic. I studied anthropology, and most of anthropologists are white. So I can even say that that term African booty scratcher also could have came from white people, because when they were like, ooh, these people are different, they're weird, they don't speak English, they don't wear clothes, like
they're scratching their ass.
They're scratching their butts. We can all scratch any part of our bodies, whatever, it's not that big of a deal. But I'm saying, like, the ignorance and the way you view the world, like, that will really determine how you want to speak about other people. So, like, the big issue in anthropology was, okay, how do we appreciate these cultures, and how do we not look at them as these, like, dumb people? Because essentially they've been living off the earth for how many generations, not killing the earth, so they're obviously doing something right. But if you see, like, like all those texts where those explorers like saw Africans for the first time, and they wrote about how like disgusting and like ugly they were. That's the same stuff that permeated into society. So now that I'm educated, I can say, oh, that makes sense. I know where it comes from. But before, if I'm just coming to the U.S. and someone's calling me that, and I don't know where that idea come from, I'm not gonna want to like you guys like off the bat, and that just already creates issues.
Like division.
Yeah, because I mean, like to go what you said now, you do see a different sense of, especially African Americans here learning more about the history. And it's funny how Black Panther did open that up. Like, that's just real. Yeah. Like out here, I seen when I went to go see Black Panther, man, Mad Cash was going in there buying dashikis at. Back in the day, we used to clown when you had a dashiki on.
Right.
Like that was like you see this nigga got dashiki on with it, because you got made fun of for that.
Yeah.
But now you see a lot of us going back to that, and we're prideful in trying to learn about our history and wear the clothing now and support.
Trying to learn about the food, everything.
Yeah. Because like, I mean, like for me, like I said, I grew up with beef, so like I've always was around like African food. Like I've always, first time I had fufu, I was just like, yo, I was like,
oh, you had fufu?
I was like, yo,
oh, plantain too, baby.
I was like, what's
that fufu look like?
I thought it was mashed potatoes.
So it's pounded yams.
Pounded like with flour, right? Yeah.
Yeah, well, the originally is like they boil the lamb. They boil yams like they boil potatoes, and they pound it in like a little mortar.
Yeah.
But now they can use flour.
Yeah, you can use flour.
You can use grain. You can make it healthy.
Heavy starch.
Yeah, they have wheat ones now too.
Really?
She looked like wheat, like ugh.
It's just like,
she's like wheat ones now.
Nah.
It's like brown rice and white rice,
But yeah, I was able to. For me, luckily, at an early enough age, I was able to luckily stop some of the ignorant stuff that I was saying early. Because if I would have went around his mother and say, "Oh, we out here with some African booty scratchers," his mom would have smacked my head off his shoulder.
No, it would have been Christy.
Christy would have, and then maybe moms afterwards too. But like I had so much respect, and I did start to learn just being around them more and more and more. But I guess I would say that I guess as an African American, like learning, I the more and more for me, I got more upset the more I learned late.
Interesting.
Like I just
Why'd you get more upset?
Because I was like, this shit was hidden from me.
Him?
Like you gotta understand, growing up out here, like I said, B was learning shit that I learned at 30, 25. He learned that in elementary probably, and maybe middle school, right? The whole time I'm learning about this other history, that's a lot of it's false, and I'm being told this is history, and so that's why I'm like, when I'm around my friends, and I'm like, yo, why wasn't this shit being, why wasn't they like, yo, fam, that shit is fake. Here's a real book.
Yeah.
This is some real shit right here. You learn more and you start to get upset because you start to unlock all this different type of knowledge. Yeah. And even like films like Hidden Colors 1 through 4 or 5 is coming out soon by Tariq Nasheed. Like those films right there, that shit, like you like, yo, nigga, I feel like I'm behind. If I would have known this stuff in elementary and middle school, my mindset would have been different. Like I wouldn't be this type of person right now.
It's interesting you say that, because I don't want people that are listening to feel like the way you feel, Keenan, is only African Americans. Because even when I'm around my Congolese people or whatever, there's a lot of stuff they don't even know about themselves. You know what I mean? Like they're still like, when you say fake history or Western history, they're so engulfed in Western history. When I bring up something about them, like something about Congo in like the early 1900s, like with like colonization, they'll be like, what? And I'm like, wait, but you grew up back home. Like, how do you not know this? But there's still sort of, like I said earlier, that self-hate, or like, no, we don't do that. That's not good for us. We got to learn about like the West. So there's still kind of this like idol worshiping of
Western culture.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy because when I went to Nigeria when I was 12, oh my God, first of all, the cake was disgusting. I don't know who taught them how to make cake.
Because it's real sugar. You're going to eat.
No, it tastes bad. But anyways, they wanted all the movies, all like the Hollywood stuff, like their version of black people. Like, I remember I was talking to one of my Ghanaian friends, and he was like, yeah, like, we thought black Americans were super cool and like super hip and like had a lot of money and like were rich. Like they had this idea of black. I don't know. They were just watching all those movies. So, and they copied y'all. Like a lot of American culture is being replicated in Africa as we speak, like clothes,
not
fashion,
only in Africa,
hair, everywhere,
even
like
the islands.
Yeah, the diaspora period, like wherever there's other black people, and even like in other cultures too, like Indian, Asian culture, like they have rap music.
Right.
Yo,
y'all
seen K-pop?
K-pop,
bruh.
K-pop,
you know, that's blowing up.
But you know, that's the number one export in America. It's black culture.
Yeah,
that's the number one export.
But it's just crazy because it's everywhere. And as much as it's like us in America or people, we're trying to educate ourselves on like these international issues, and then in other countries they're like, well, we're trying to be like Americans. So it's just this weird back and forth thing.
It's just really crazy to me because being like, it's like what you guys said, when we was younger, you would start off being ignorant, making the little African jokes, yada, yada. And now that we're getting older, being black or being African in itself, even knowing that you're African, has become a trend.
Definitely.
So now that it's become a trend, now we're like looking more into it or whatever. And it came to a point where it was just like the people who are being ignorant are like, the roles have switched. It's kind of like some of the African Americans who know that they're African and know where they're from. It's like, now it's like, I'm going to look at you like you're weird. Like, you don't know where you came from. I know where I came from. I know I'm Nigerian. You don't even know what you are. Now, like, it's starting to, like, switch roles a little bit. And I'm just like, but listening to what you're saying is, like, about back on the homelands, is like, they get it misconstrued, too. It's like, everybody's just fucking confused.
Right.
Everyone's confused, and everyone thinks, like, it's going back to, like, thinking that you're better. It's like, the Black African Americans who don't know where they came from think that they're better. The ones who do know where they came from think that they're better. And then the ones who are actually from the homeland are just like, I don't know what you're talking about.
You said something very interesting. Do you, and I asked B and Wonder, do you think that it's a trend right now from
It is a trend.
Oh
African Americans?
Are you looking at Instagram right now?
Are you all these black pages?
All you have to do is put up an African flag, my nigga, and you are like in.
First of all, I
get most likes when I put the African flag, Nigerian flag under my picture. I took it off because I was like, "This is fake news."
I know. I'm just saying. I was just asking them per se. How they feel because just like since y'all from there, are y'all looking at African Americans like these niggas? Like it's like
I will say sometimes, because now you're saying the trend with the whole Black Panther thing. Like me and some of my siblings, I won't out them, but we were just like, it's so annoying how they don't know. It was like, it's annoying how we have to stand tall in who we are, right? Like we have to come here, children of immigrants, people making fun of us, people trying to make us feel weird or uncomfortable. Like, well, I have to succeed regardless, because you know what's my option going to be? Like, people left their homes to a foreign land to build a life for me, so I have to do what I have to do. And so that's why we have this urgency about us that I feel like also separates immigrant families from generational Americans, and that's like any immigrant. That's why a lot of my friends are immigrants. I agree with that 100%. So for us, like when we have our dashikis, my dashikis look a lot different than the ones in America, because they're like the ones from Nigeria, and they're like unique and original. So when everyone started wearing dashikis and making all these like African print T-shirts and clothing and hats,
they
and
be
I'm just like
fashion shows now,
right?
too.
And it's just like, for somebody who's been loving their own culture for so long, and those same people hating on it, and now the people who are taking it and making money off of it or making a trend, it's just irritating, because it's like, okay, why'd you have to hate us so much in the beginning?
Well, ignorance. Remember what we said earlier? A lot of us didn't know. A lot of us didn't know. Yeah. But I think so. I still think it's a trend. One of the dashiki thing is weird, because some white companies are using blackface, but they're the ones that own the companies for dashikis, and that's what I have an issue with. These white companies making money off this shit. I have a real big issue with that. But also too, I definitely agree that it is a trend, because remember when Sean Paul came out,
he was the dude.
I didn't know any Haitians. I didn't know it. No, I didn't see no Haitian pride. I didn't see no Jamaican pride. I didn't see no Cuban pride, no Puerto Rican pride. And when they came out, everybody had a flag.
Yeah.
Everybody was now Haitian and Jamaican and Puerto Rican, and then it kind of died down. And then that's what I'm thinking with this again. It's like, is this another type of like thing like that, where it's just like, all right, Black Panther kind of brought it, and people want to watch.
I also think music does a big part. Like Afrobeats is a big thing now, and a lot of artists are trying to speak Spanish or whatever. Different like, you know, artists are trying to work internationally, so now like people want to listen to different types of music, and even like African dancing is kind of taken over the past few years.
Oh yeah, like you'll see like even in like women's workouts where they're doing like
Zumba. It's like, okay,
Whoa.
so
really
y'all gonna pay for this? Or?
Well, I guess
they took yoga too, nigga. They ain't paying for nothing. Then what shit?
Y'all taking our moves for your workout class.
Well, I'll say this with like it being a trend, like you said this, you brought up this earlier with Black Panther. I think the root of the African pride started with Barack. Like when Barack got into office in 2008, and everybody was celebrating Barack, I had family members that say he's not black, he's Kenyan. It's amazing to see African Americans celebrate him when he's Kenyan. So that whole consciousness started to happen, where it's like, wow, here's this African dude that's going to become president or whatever, right? So I think that's kind of the root. But then when Black Panther, it's like a huge explosion.
Right.
I hope that it's not a trend, and I hope
it is.
I hope it's I hope Black Panther, I know it's only entertainment, but there's power in entertainment when it's done properly, and I think it was done properly. I hope for Black people in diaspora, maybe the Black Panther was a moment where it might have allowed us to reconnect with Africa that wasn't able to reconnect with Africa for 400, 500 years or whatever, right? So I hope it doesn't become like a trend. I hope it allows people to be like, okay, I want to, Tupac said it, have an African brain, have an African heart. You know what I mean? Because when you see in Black Panther, you see like the roles. It's amazing. You see like how the women are respected in Black Panther. Right? How their women's strength is honored.
Yeah,
you see
it's pushing a lot of gender roles and social roles, because women are, but not always.
Right. And then like, you know, in certain African cultures where that's like, no, women are honored, like women are respected, and I hope like, and men are honored and men are respected, and our elders are respected. So I hope like it allows like future generations of Black people in diaspora to feel connected to Africa, because it's so important. Like, if you're not connected to any home, you don't have any sense of confidence, and you feel like somebody can do whatever to you.
Yeah, true.
And not even literally physically, just like psychologically.
I just think it's great because it opened that dialogue between the diaspora, which really hasn't happened in a film like that before.
No,
well, yeah, I think too. When I watched a lot of interviews about Ryan Coogler with the research that he did for it, and I think that was the main reason why it did so well and why it connected with all of us like that, because the wrong director doing this, or if they found a white director, this movie doesn't hit the same.
It would have been a mess.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think it's somewhat of a trend, but I think it's a trend that's actually people are actually getting educated. Mm-hmm. I've heard a lot of people after Black Panther, they're saying that they started to pick up different books,
right,
and do a lot more research after this movie because they didn't understand, they didn't know. Yeah. And from what Ryan Coogler said, he took a lot of the tribes in there.
Yeah,
he took a lot of that stuff from real tribes.
Right. Oh, you can tell.
Did
with
you know Wakanda was actually real though?
Well, I don't know if Wakanda was real.
It's actually a place.
Well, I don't know if the actual name of the place is a real place, but I know there's certain things that people they'll say they'll say in Haiti there's a spot in Haiti, there's a mountain in Haiti that has some type of stuff in there.
It's amazing.
And that's considered like the real vibranium. That's considered.
If you think about it too, like I think we all know, but that Africa has majority of all the natural resources.
80%, yeah.
80% of the natural resources. So that could also just mirror what's going on in the continent as a whole.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
You know, I think I hope, like I was saying, like it helps with this dialogue, but I also hope, like I saw yesterday some girl I work with, Black American girl, text me and she was like, yo, I found out I'm like 10% like Congolese, and I was like, oh, that's good. So now she's starting to speak to me in Lingala.
What?
Yeah, so like every time we see each other,
language?
So we like greet, and I'm just like, okay, now that's my responsibility to help her. So like I emailed her like a Lingala book. I was like, hey, there's this Lingala book. You should like any questions you have. And that's what we're supposed to, you know what I mean? Like, because
that's dope, though.
Because I'm telling you, just a week ago, if you saw the way she was walking, she had her normal confidence. But if you saw her yesterday, when she texted me and she saw me at work, it was completely different. She was like, yeah, I found out. And I was like, do you know what tribe you're from? You should find out what tribe. And I was giving her like a list of stuff and stuff like this. I was like, you should look at these tribes. Maybe you might be. I was like, I hope you're not this one. You should be this one. But you know, whatever. But it's just like, that's what like, sort of like, with the similarities and how we can help out each other. Like, that's like I feel that's like my responsibility. Like, so if Keenan, if you do our cousin Ricky did a DNA test, he found out I think he's like 30% Ghanaian, right? I gave Ricky a Kente shirt because Kente is from Ghana. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, no, this is what your people wear.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what like we should do so you can feel kind of helps to.
Which kind of brings me back to dashikis, though. Because dashikis, you know how, like, the patterns are based off your tribe.
Yeah.
So it's just like when you have all these artificial people just making all these artificial dashikis, it's like you don't even know
a
tribe.
one-size-fits-all type thing.
Right. I'm like, it's not.
Yeah.
But do you think, like, you know, some, what you said earlier, Wonder, about, like, some of your friends and family or siblings be like, y'all be looking at African Americans like, look at this nigga trying right, because like that's, and then some of us feel like that. Some of us feel like we feel that energy when it's like, you know, we're trying to learn, and some of it is like, yo, it's just a trend, or it's just like, you know, we put this on like a costume,
right?
But it's like, do you feel like it's your type of responsibility to be like, hey, what kind of whatever is that? Is that from?
I will always, like, no matter who you are, if you have questions, I will answer them, you know? And if people come to me, like Black Americans come to me respectfully with questions about my culture. Like one of my friends, she's not even Nigerian, but she started learning Nigerian culture and cooking. She went to a cooking class. We talk about things, you know, we talk about food, we talk about culture, we talk about dressing. Like we even went shopping for materials so she can make an outfit.
That's hilarious.
And like it's just kind of and that's the way I would talk to like my like Dominican friend, right? Because she's like Afro Latina, and so she kind of like took me under her arm too, so I can learn more about her culture. So if I personally would feel very uncomfortable wearing somebody's cultural item and I don't really know anything about it. I don't know where it came from. I don't know the history of it. So when you guys anybody will pick up a dashiki like off a street or off whatever and just put it on like, oh yeah, I'm this now. It's like you have to educate your mind first. Like you can't just wear something and think you're it if you can't actually walk in it.
Let me ask you.
That's the way I kind of feel.
It's like picking up a sports jersey and it's a bus.
yeah. And then it's like a
bus flare.
It's a knockoff.
You think it is hard,
and you know it's a knockoff because you know it didn't come from the right place. You're just like, well, not only now are you wearing something that's not really from our country, but you're wearing it, and you don't really, if you don't know about it, then you're gonna wear the wrong thing. So it kind of just shows like, are you really educated? Do you want to know? And don't just put it on just to put it on. Like, wear something that is real, you know?
Let me ask you this, everybody in the room, this. Can Africans in the African diaspora ever, that are not from the continent, become African again?
No.
Why?
I feel like no matter, I feel like you're gonna you grew up where you grew up. Like, there's no way anyone can knock the American out of me. It's stuck, you know? I can go to Nigeria. I'm still going to have an American accent. I may kind of pick up the Nigerian accent again when I'm trying to speak the language, but I'm going to be where I grow up. But I can change my mindset, you know? African is like your rearing, it's the food, it's your genetics. Like, there's this thing called epigenetics, and that's when your environment interacts with your actual DNA.
Yeah, it's times, genetics times environment.
Genetics times environment. So, like, it's like I can be raised here and I can go to Italy. I'm not going to become Italian because I wasn't raised in Italy, but I can pick up on that culture and I can become a part of it. But I can't just change my whole thing. I can add it, but I can't replace. So I feel like the issue is thinking you can just replace everything, but it's like you really can't. It's just better to just edit it than to just copy and cut.
What about like the African Americans that are like feeling connected to Africa and want to be connected to Africa? Like, they have this sense of pride, like, oh, I want to know my history, this, that. Can they, so they can't become African? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean,
I think she's saying like not fully.
Yeah, like I can't be fully Nigerian ever because I wasn't raised there. I have Nigerian history and heritage, and I was raised in a Nigerian family, but like I'm both right now. I'm both American and Nigerian. So like if you're American and you want to go to Africa, whatever country you pick, yeah, you can be a part of that culture as much as you want to, but you still know like I was raised in this place and not in that place somewhere in America. But you can drop, you know, your American whatever if you just want to forget it, but I don't think you necessarily have to just like completely X out where you came from, because that's who you are.
Yeah.
And I think the big part is not like feeling like you have to cancel out the parts of you that you feel like people say aren't good, because that's not right either. And African is amazing, and being that is great, but being American is pretty dope too. Like I wouldn't want to.
Everybody wants to be American.
Yeah, but I think it's just like appreciating who you are, period, and educating yourself so you're confident, people don't mess with you, and you can stand firm in what you believe in and demand that in the world you live in, no matter where you are. And so knowing where you come from, I feel like that helps you stand more firm in who you are. But I don't want people to feel like they have to forget who they were raised to be.
Claps for you.
I like that. Yeah.
Jesus.
Snaps.
Because I feel like sometimes, you know, when black people, I guess, when they awaken out here, consciousness, the conscious community, sometimes the too woke community, you know, they can be... Yeah, they need
too much.
Yeah, they need to, you know.
DTM doing too much.
You know.
Yeah, they go ham and they.
Wait, are you gonna say something?
Oh no, I'm listening to him. I'm just.
You know, do you think in that sense of like they be like, you know, they were like, no, I'm full. I am African. I am this, and like you fake blacks here, and it's like, whoa. All of a sudden,
how you fake black?
Wait,
no,
tell
people
me.
say that.
Really?
Well,
That's what I mean.
What do you mean
like,
fake black?
Sometimes
because you don't know where you came from. You don't know what you are. You don't know your roots. So you're
a
fake
coon
black
now, and all that stuff like that. And it's like,
that's scary.
Yeah.
It's like a weird thing. Some and not the whole black conscious community, of course, but there's some people in the conscious community that like instead of trying to help educate you,
they're belittling.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying here. Our education is so jacked up here.
Yeah.
Even when it comes to Africans, don't belittle us or clown us or be like, you don't know where you're from. Be like, hey, you want to actually learn more? I got some books.
Right. That's what I was saying earlier. Like
come to us. Don't necessarily saying wait for us to say something, because we might not even know if you're African or not. But you be like, hey man, you see me rocking the dashikis, man. you interested in some books or some shit like that? Like, oh yeah, man. Hey, matter of fact, I don't know where because there's some places that are some books are not authentic.
But then again, we need to find another way other than just books because some people don't like to read.
Some people like to read. That's true.
But
that's why I said
we gotta find another way to educate people.
That's why I said Hidden Colors. Yeah. Like B would tell you, the Hidden Colors films are, to me, that's one of the most important documentaries that I think all Black Americans should definitely watch.
Incredible.
Like I think every 1 through 4, watch all of them. Watch the 1804, the Haitian one.
Incredible.
You learn a different aspect of different things of even voodoo and stuff like that. It's like so many different things
where
about.
Can we find those?
Oh, Amazon. Just so you know.
Amazon, or I think if you follow.
Is it on Netflix?
No,
no. Oh no way.
Netflix is not that.
No way.
They're not there yet.
No way.
If you follow, I think Tariq Nasheed, he has all the stuff on his because he's the creator of it.
What's his name?
Tyreek Nasheed, and I think me and B have some of them.
Yeah,
I have a few of them.
Yeah, I'd love to watch that.
But they're like those particular ones, especially for I think African Americans. If you feel like you can't pick up a bunch of books, what happens with watching Hidden Colors is you watch these historians and these people that have done the research, and now if you don't want to read all these books, but I think you should at least pick up some books.
Yeah,
you can at least YouTube them, and they have lectures.
Right. Oh yeah.
And now you can just listen to them and watch them.
Right.
And they deliver a lot of different stuff, like Dr. Claude Anderson, Francis Cress Welsing, and stuff like that.
Professor James Smalls.
A lot of those people, like they've done a lot of the work for you, and they can just hit you with. You can just type in their name on YouTube and listen to the lectures, and they're not boring. They're like
it'll be like an hour and 30 minutes, and I'm like, yo, I want more.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. It's very, very good. So it's like definitely. If you, I know, like some people don't want to read books. Those documentaries help me because I wasn't a big reader of books like that either. Them documentaries opened me up to actually wanting to read more books and learning those scholars that's done the research already.
But to answer your question, Keenan, like it's I was saying earlier, like it's our responsibility to like help. You know what I mean? And I'm even saying this, like, it is not an African to an African American or an African to a Brazilian, whatever. But I'm just saying, like, if you're intelligent enough and you know the history, you should help out your fellow man.
Right.
Like that's what you're supposed to do. You know what I mean? The only thing that matters when you die is what they thought of you. Like, what did you do for people? You know, so if you have this, if somebody's wearing like a dashiki and they're like, oh, I have this, like, we're supposed to do that. Hey, you should read this. You should look at this. Have you talked about this? I went to a comedy club 2 days ago. There's this girl that's half black, half Mexican. Me and her had an hour conversation about King Leopold. It was incredible. I would have never thought another comedian even knew about King Leopold, if you know the history of it. I was just like, yo, yeah, so he did this. He was cutting kids' hands and blah, 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 this and blah, blah, that. And I was like, that's incredible.
You were just learning.
Yeah, we were just learning. I was just like, yo, I got this stuff I want to send you. So now we're DMing each other like, yo, go check out this link. Go check out this link. All right, ever.
And I think that's why a lot of, to even go back to Black Panther again, that's why a lot of African Americans felt a certain way, and they probably connected with Killmonger more because we're like, in a sense of like, we were like, yo, man, like, we felt like a lot of our African brothers and sisters, y'all
left us.
Not just left us, but it's like y'all not help educating us. And y'all got all this information. Y'all just sitting here looking at us like
we're dumb.
All right, nigga.
I can just imagine like parents and like families just the way they sit like this and looking at Americans. I'm like, can you guys just do something?
Right.
Yeah. And we're sitting there thinking everything's cool. And y'all have a lot of this information,
and you're not telling us.
Yeah, we're just sitting there and I'm like, oh, we knew that already. Or like, oh, yeah, we can. Yeah, it's like, nah, you could have like gather some young black kids around, and if you have the education, like just shoot them with some stuff. Like to me, my goal is when I start to get more money is to, or even not even just now when I tell people about Hidden Colors, I always be like, if you want to borrow, I'll let you borrow it so you can. That can help educate you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like that's a big thing to me. It's like, and my goal is to like when I start making a lot more money to do like backpack programs and put those DVDs in those backpacks and then give it to all these children. So now they got this, and their parents can be like, yo, shit, I'll just learn a bunch of stuff.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I will say on the Black Panther movie too, I got emotional with Killmonger's story because I felt like Black Panther was also calling out immigrants. Like, okay, get it together. Like, you cannot leave your child of this country in this foreign land just to be messed with and
or Americanized,
broken down.
Yeah.
And that also held me accountable to say, I'm not. Am I doing enough? Are we all as immigrants doing enough? And so it was like so awesome because it focused on all the parts of the story that are forgotten. Like when I go through my life, like I'm not thinking about, I don't live a life that I will say I am privileged in a sense because of what my parents established. So I do live in a suburb, and so I don't have to see certain things. I don't have to experience certain things. So it's like, okay, I already have a privilege, and we talk about privilege in the U.S., so how am I going to use that privilege to do something? But in terms of education, like you said, I was a part of this program in high school called Council of African American Parents. And it was people from the diaspora, Black, African, Afro-Latino, from the islands. And so we were in this college prep program, and part of our, we had to study for the SAT and do our essays, but we also learned about Black and African history, and we had to learn the countries and the capitals. We had to learn African history. We had to learn diaspora history, and that brought us all together. It was like a class of like 60 people, and I'm still friends with all of them. But that's because we were in a one place, organized setting, and different people from all over were teaching us about ourselves and about ways to connect. And I think that was like so extraordinary, and I wish that could just be duplicated like all over.
That's our responsibility. It's funny when you brought up Killmonger, and like how you leave me in this new land, like as a foreigner, like when a foreigner comes here, when their children are born, their children will have more health problems, will die younger. Yeah. Because we don't eat the foods from back home. We eat this trash food here. It's like, oh my goodness, McDonald's, all this other stuff. You know what I mean?
Don't even get me started about food right now.
Please don't
go off.
You know what I mean? So it's interesting. I never looked at that like Killmonger, just like that other aspect as a foreigner. I looked at it like African Americans are hurt by Africans. It's like you left us, and I'm as a devil's advocate. Like African nations were just ran through like. Yeah. Man, like they would like I'm Bakongo, Mungalas were used as against us, but we're the same people. So a lot of like Bakongo were put into slavery, sent into Brazil. Yeah. You know what I mean? The Portuguese used Mungalas as pawns. Like, no, go kidnap them. So like there's a lot of like unraveling of like history and pain from both sides you know what I mean? That's like, man, like, because I know me just like as I try to be conscious, like, why wouldn't I help out a Black? Like, we're Black. Why wouldn't I help you out? Like, you go through shit here, they're killing you? Okay, well, come home. But then if you come home,
they might kill you too.
Yeah, because there's the people in power, the people in power are pawns through, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. That it's you know what I mean? Like you said, Wonder, I'm sick of the corruption.
Well, it's not, I mean, that's the thing. And like, okay, I have to be careful what I say too, because I'm representing, Nigerian people. And there are bad things, and there are also really great things about being in Nigeria too, like the food, the islands, and like the little, super nice places, and the city is like super dope too. So there's a lot of awesome stuff happening over there. But so I just want to put that out there too. So I don't want you guys to think that Nigeria is just this like totally rundown place. It's
no, hell no.
I don't know if people, at least we don't think that.
Nobody's gonna catch that.
Well, some people still think that about
some people are still
ignorant. Oh, we swing on trees and everything.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
That's
coconut trees though. Y'all want some coconuts? Go climb the tree.
Coconuts. That's them people that think that way.
Yeah,
they be thinking like, yo, like I think I forgot this lady's name. But she told me she was doing the, I think at Disney World, she used to do like the, like they'll go to like the jungle part, and they'll do like and they made everything very from a white standpoint of like they climb on trees, and they eat whatever, they just all dirty and they're naked with no clothes. And she was like, let me talk to y'all for a second about this. I don't know if you know how Africa is, but there's some tribes that are this way, but there's a lot. Africa is a beautiful place, and a lot of places do have clothes. We don't.
Yeah.
Like, some of the cities are fucking
amazing.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, it's incredible.
What?
A lot of them are, but it's like when Disneyland was Disneyland or Disney, I think it might have been Disney World. They were doing this like little tour or whatever. They were just giving like, and that's how white people view Africa. Like, everybody's like so this, tragic. Like these. They're pretty much they're like monkeys.
Like I was thinking about the shirt, remember the little black
H&M
boy,
shirt?
the H&M shirt.
Yeah.
I just have this image in my head when you were talking about the way white people view Africans.
Yeah, because that's how their information is being pushed to them by their people in the media. It's like this is how it is. But a lot of that information is being pushed to us too. That's why for the longest I didn't care to go back to Africa. I was like, nigga, it's hot. That's all I heard.
But
Africa was hot as shit.
I will say something. Apart from like the images of Africa, if you guys know, like African immigrants are like the highest performing immigrant population in the United States. Mm-hmm. And so as much as like there was pushback from certain communities, some black communities when we initially came here, but not all of them, right? Because like some Nigerians were Panthers and like they were part of the movement and all that stuff. But now like being African is like looked up upon, especially like Nigerian.
Oh man.
Especially like in like terms of like school and like education and like all this stuff because they're performing high. But I also feel like it's okay, so we can be smart or whatever, but there was still that. You guys remember the 419? Have you heard of that?
No.
The scammers. There was
that
whole season.
Oh, the princes. Oh, yeah, the
people
email.
were like scamming you, and so that's like a bad rep Nigerians had for a while. Was that we're just like scammers and con.
You hear about like Nigerians or they were saying Nigerians were scamming people. You send them money.
They email women.
They'll ask you for like your account number.
I mean, low key, that still kind of happens because I don't know if you watch Love and Hip Hop, but yo, Lyrica's husband's mom.
Get Love and Hip Hop.
Listen. Lyrica's husband, A1's mother, right, is now dating some nigga that she met online from Africa, and now they about to get married in like 2 months. Hey,
do what you gotta do.
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
How is
Make it because you can tell. You can tell.
How much was the diary?
You know this nigga is scamming her. He just wants to come here.
Yeah. But that's the thing. People hustle. Like I'm not.
Yeah.
And so that's why immigration is really tough now when you're trying to come out, here because people know how people just want to get in here any way they can.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna speak. I know some stories, but I'm not gonna out anybody. So.
It's amazing because it's like you should just look at like African nation as any nation. There's good and bad parts. Because if I was to go through a video of look at the capital city Kinshasa, the capital city of Angola, the capital city of Nigeria, Lagos, you'd be like, yo, there's a Hard Rock Cafe there. You'd be amazed. You'd be like, yo, it's popping on Friday nights. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like in Nairobi looks dope. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, of course, the village is the village. The same way, like, the hood is the hood. Like,
yeah.
It ain't nice. I don't.
So, like, what do you guys think about, like, making a trip, like, a group trip, like, immigrants and, like, Americans and, like, all going out there?
I think that'd be dope. Because when I go, I want to know where I'm going. I want to know different things.
I want people to teach me for real. Like, don't teach me or show me the tourist side. Mm-hmm. That's where everybody go. Everywhere you go.
Right.
Show me the hood. Show me the real tribes. Show me the real villages. Show me where the rich people at. Like, I want to see it all. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. That's the same thing with me. I want to go with some people that maybe that are here, that when I go back there they can give you the tour, that are from here, that like if I know some people that are from here that like I can go home, we can go to my families.
Yeah, I want a family meal.
Yeah, go hang out with the family, like, eat with them.
Yeah,
that's
where you're really gonna get it.
Yeah,
those family settings.
That's where I want to go, and I would want to like you said, I would want to be respectful and be like learn the culture and like wear the clothes and why you have certain type of things, why you wear certain type of things, what time of year do you wear certain type of things and stuff like that. So yeah, I would love to do that. Like my goal is to definitely go back to Africa a few times, but I just know that trip is pretty expensive.
Oh yeah. Oh, $2,000 just for the plane ticket.
And
sometimes you can get it like $1,500 if you get it early.
Some $1,500.
Okay, you know what you can do.
Plus the doctor visits, because you need the
shots, the pills.
That's mandatory. You got to get shots.
Well, I mean, if you don't want to come back with the infectious disease,
right? You know, we're not.
We have vaccines out here, but
yeah,
and like we can pay for them, but they might not be as expensive if you get them over there. But I'm also thinking, like, when you do go back there as Americans, like, we really embrace you.
Oh, you're treated like
it's like a celebration. Like, you've come home, you know?
Look, when I went back, when we went back home, they took me and my younger sister away from my mom, not literally, but they're Americans, and they treated us like kings and queens.
Aww.
It was incredible.
Yeah,
it was incredible.
It's like spiritual.
Oh yeah, they're American. They're from these states. Come, What? États-Unis? Oh my goodness, man. You're American?
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
You're American. Like, here's the thing. Like, in the pantheon.
And they look up to you guys. Like, you don't get it.
Easy.
Like, they look up to
It's
you.
like coming to
being
Africa
Americans
versus coming to
here.
America.
And maybe
Yeah.
maybe that's why you see like you hear like a lot of people like when entertainers always come back and tell their stories
Yeah.
about going to Africa. Maybe it's like they come there and they're like, yo, we're not treated like shit like how
Yeah.
we are back home.
Yeah.
Like unless you're an entertainer, of course entertainers are kind of treated on a pedestal.
But still.
But still, when I hear even like people that are not entertainers, that are not big and that are not famous or whatever, they go back home or they go back to the motherland and they come back to tell you a story. It's like, man, like, yeah, you, of course your mindset is different. Of course you feel like you're a king or you're a queen.
Right.
And you know you're part of that you feel like that you're on that type of level now, at least mentally and spiritually, than when you were before you ever went.
I want to say something about the king and queen term being thrown around a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Here we go.
So there's not that
Yo,
many. Like,
bruh.
there's really I will say that yes, you should be confident in who you are, but
We not all kings
but
and queens.
there's no way for everybody to be king and queen because
Right.
like, who would they rule? You know.
yeah.
So
Hilarious.
that's another
That's
thing that I
hilarious.
feel like me and some other immigrants can be like, yeah, I don't like that term being thrown around like it's so
not
loosely.
even endearing anymore
Because it's like it's being
not.
used to call everyone a king and queen. You can just respect a person, and
Right,
that's
right.
more than enough. But I totally get having to sort of feel like I don't
Healthy
know,
confidence.
maybe it's like a compensation or healthy confidence
Well-
to feel that confidence about yourself, which I walk around and with that same demeanor. But when you go back there, I don't even know if they still have monarchies anyways. So I don't know if it
It's
really
very
matters.
rare. There's like small tribes. Like I know in South Africa there's one. Like in Botswana there's one, but no.
Yeah, I think some of it comes from too just saying, like sometimes, and especially in the conscious community, they're trying to stop
Using the negative terms.
she using nigga and bitch, right?
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
like, and then even when people start to learn the term, I guess niggas and stuff like that. But before that, it's like they were like, you even look at Wu-Tang. Wu-Tang used to be like, "What's up, God?" They called everybody God because it was just like just to show
5%er
it's trying to show you like empowerment.
Right. And
You know,
using those words.
I mean,
Right,
it's
right, right.
great
Right.
up until people G trying to holler at you.
That's
And
I knew
it's-
that's what
Yeah,
it
I
was.
hate it when someone's
I
like,
knew
"Oh,
Nigo-
what's up, queen?"
Nigo-
I'm like,
yo, nigga, shut
no.
the fuck up.
I
Like,
I feel the
No,
same
I
way.
work at CVS. I'm not a queen.
Yeah.
yo.
And I knew Mika being from New York. I knew she heard that probably a lot. being
That
like,
shit,
Yeah.
"Yo,
I
It's
hear
like-
it
it's
here
irritating.
too. Like, it's just a fucking annoying. It's a fucking annoying.
That's hilarious.
I'm like, you don't even know me. How you know?
Right.
Fine, sister. I'm not your sister.
I'm not
Goddess.
your sister.
I'm not a goddess. All right, motherfucker. You
Nah.
want that?
Right. What do you
Nah,
want me to
that's
call
not
you?
I feel like
Yeah.
all
I
right,
think beautiful is a good term. Handsome, like the typical little compliments. Like if you
nah.
want to say hi to
I
somebody.
feel like it depends on the
I don't
nigga
know.
that's saying it.
Yeah,
to
Yeah,
you.
yeah, right. You're right. You're
Because
right. You're right. You're right.
The
You're
way
right.
it comes off when it comes out their mouth is like, nah, B.
Oh my
It's
Exactly.
a
It
no.
always
Yeah.
depends on the dude.
Yeah,
so
always
it's
depends
not
on the
really
guy.
offensive. It's just the person that it's coming from is offensive. He's
Right.
he's an offended nigga because he's ugly. if it just Albert came to you was like, "How you doing, my queen?" You be like, "God damn,
I'm like,
panties
ooh.
wet. They already coming off."
Here's my panties.
Yeah, exactly. But a regular nigga, you just like, "What up, queen?" Ugh, nigga, get out my face.
Are you a queen? No, not a regular nigga. A regular nigga with no job. You know he don't got a job. He's just doing it.
I think it
'cause-
just depends. I think if you use it sparingly, it can definitely like be like, oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Is LeBron James
Yeah.
Yeah,
the
but if
actual
you-
king?
Yeah.
Huh?
Uh-huh.
That's true.
Or Miko, get out of here.
Yeah.
But if you use it all the time, then I'm just gonna get tired of it.
Yeah.
Goodness.
So maybe just some tips for y'all.
Oh shit.
Oh.
Huck's doing the thing.
So yeah, we gonna kill us. I'm Huckleberry. This is my crew. We have.
Oh damn.
Is it over? I had so much fun.
First of all, let me get back full health before you throw the
Throw the intros and outros to you.
Yeah,
Okay.
Still
closers
coughing,
and-
Okay,
though.
yeah. Thank you again, Wanda, for coming through. We
Oh,
appreciate
Wanda,
you.
that was
Congrats. Learned a lot
course.
today.
Thanks for
A lot of great
inviting
insight.
me.
Always
I
love
felt like I was on CNN, but I learned a lot of stuff. That was
Yeah.
good.
Right. It was
always
dope.
always love having Miko come through. Thank you.
Yeah.
Miko,
Yeah.
holla.
Um, Do you guys want to drop your information, your social media?
Okay, well, if you want to email me,
email.
Oh shit! I have too much spam.
Everybody's
so you can follow me on Instagram.
She want to give up that gram.
At WonDWONDIIIEE. That's too long. You can just search Wonder Adam. I'll be up there.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's not that many wonders, so.
Miko.
Well, you can find me on Instagram. It's Miko Cicero. It's MEEKOCICRO.
Blako.
You can follow me at Bileko Wissa, BILEKO WISSA, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can follow my Instagram page, Feewee Helms Music. Me and Keenan, we got some shit about to pop off. Holla.
Okay. Damn.
How many pages is that? 4?
Don't worry about it.
6? How many?
Don't worry.
Everything we thank B also too for the insight, because like I've known B, so like I've gotten information throughout the years and from him and his sister Fee, Christy, his mom.
Yes.
Like I said, like they
happy to be
sending
here.
me, like I guess, like
happy
an honorary Congolese.
Oh yeah, he is Congolese.
So I've always appreciated that. His mom always made us food, cook for us all the time.
What was your favorite dish from her?
It was a fufu. I don't know I forgot what the.
I didn't know you guys had fufu over there too.
There's fufus everywhere. There's like it's like
you know what, in Ethiopia they use.
They use the bread.
Injera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't eat that.
Isn't that like a term that we use for like man, that nigga fufu?
Wow. Nigga, we do, but like.
Here they go.
Okay, there we go.
We're not talking about that one.
Fugazi means like fake, I guess.
Yeah.
But no,
Is it the beans?
I forgot what your mom. No, she makes it with the beans, but she also makes it with like these greens.
Oh, Fumba is like a peanut butter with greens.
Yeah. So she makes it with that. She's like, I'm not having it.
I'm allergic to nuts, so.
Oh, okay.
Shit.
Okay.
But I don't. I think
that's
it's
a personal problem.
Whatever his. It tastes. It's like a.
Huh?
It seems like
Who
it's like a
said
collard.
it?
It seems like a collard green, but tastes better to me.
Yes, that's what I wanted to talk about. The food we didn't
Yeah.
get to that part. The
Yeah.
similar foods.
Oh.
So I mean, we can always come back
Yeah.
and talk about different things about even.
Wait, you like American, like African American food? Similar?
Yes.
Every food is kind of similar.
Yeah, like
It's
you
just the
don't get
ingredients
it.
are a little
The
different.
ingredients, the spices are different, but
Yeah, 'cause, like-
beans, like y'all have beans,
Like rice
y'all
and
have
beans.
collard greens, y'all
Everybody
have
got rice and beans.
Okay, like your mashed potatoes, whatever,
Right.
fufu, like not all the foods, but chicken. Okay, not everything, but there are some similar foods that the diaspora has. So that part is really cool.
I'll say this: we can go even deeper. You know, in Ghana,
They have peanut butter soups too.
But Ghana's food is the same as Jamaicans, because during slavery, Ghana used to be called the Gold Coast, and a lot of Africans from the Gold Coast used to go to Jamaica, so they ate the same food.
Mm-hmm.
So people in Jamaica, they would tell the slave traders, bring people from where
Right.
we're from.
Right, and
So they have the
Jamaicans
same food.
have fried plantain too. They have different types of rices and
Ooh.
beans too.
Ooh.
They have like their greens, which we eat as soup. Y'all have your collard greens, like
The
It's just
okra,
meat pies,
Yeah.
like puff, like a lot of similar things
Yeah,
on
yeah,
West
yeah.
Africa. It just travels down, and people
Yeah.
just make little edits to it, but
Yeah,
it's
it's
just
all the
it's
same.
all over.
That's why, like, whenever going to an African,
You already know what you're gonna get. They
yeah.
just call it different things.
That's why going to like an African event, like I know I can find food I like.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Ghanaian, Cameroonian, Senegalese. I'd be like, okay, I can find food I like. It's amazing. I never thought about it until you brought it up.
Yeah.
Oh, it's interesting. All right.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, you can follow me at Fresh Avenue.
Yeah, I feel like so hug.
1, and my studio page is Space 2813. Let's get in the studio. Let's make some hits.
Let's make some
hits.
I think I can sing.
You think you can sing?
Oh, and I wonder.
And I wonder.
And my name is Keenan Baker, man. I appreciate y'all listening, man. All my information is Keenan, Keenan Baker on everything. I appreciate y'all for listening to the What's the Hook podcast, man. We love y'all.
Yeah.
We'll be back next week.
See, you know
Holla.
what? You need to do it.
OD.
Holla.
You just lost your job.
It's free when your girl got it tattooed on her knuckles.